so let's see if this slider works. So that's a very big picture of me. Hi, my name is Karlijn, and we'll be talking about why your PageSpeed score is lying to you. Because spoiler alert, it is, and it has been for a while now. I think many people actually might have experienced this question in their life. Like, why are we failing core vitals and our lighthouse scores are 100%? Well, I'm going to be that woman who is actually not jealous. I'm going to be the woman who explains how that happened. So, hi, Meet Magento UK. It's awesome to be back here and with such a crowded room. Last year I had the fire alarm go off at me, so I'm happy if we're not going to do that again. So I already had a bit of an intro, so I'll do it a bit more. I'm the co-founder and CEO of RUMvision. You might have seen us on Google I/O or Whova or WebDev, and what we do is we measure real user experience by adding a small JavaScript snippet to your browser, which is a bit of a joke because every JavaScript is very small. Tends to actually be really bad for web performance, but not ours, at least not often. There are lots of partners and people who work with us, which is awesome to see. So I already told them I love being part of communities and connecting to real people. I also really like to talk about SACs. And that is absolutely a bad pun, but it stands for Site Speed User Experience. So what that basically means is I like to look at what real users experience when they visit your website in production. So why should we care about speed? Well, let me introduce Hannah, who's my little girl, who will show you.
Waarom duurt het zo lang?
Ja, weet ik ook niet. Wil je heel lang wachten?
Ja.
Oh nee.
Waarom duurt het zo lang?
So yeah, that's Hannah. But I think Hannah actually showcases very well why we should care about web performance and good SACs. Why? Because good SACs sells. We do not want to have the frustration in our life that a site takes forever to load, or it behaves weirdly, or when I have an interaction that it takes a really long time. I actually pulled up some numbers from 2024 and 2025 showcasing that optimizing page speed absolutely still pays off. You see some here. What I also want to take a very quick moment to talk to you about, okay, so what do we measure? Because that it sells, well, that showcases, but what do we measure? So we measure LCP, also known as largest contentful paint. That is the loading speed. That's how quickly it feels that a page is visually there. That's important. We also measure IMP, also known as interaction to next pane. So if I click a button, or I do a slider, or I accept your cookie banner, how long did that take to actually be accepted? Because if that doesn't work, people tend to think that a site is broken, and that would be bad. We also have, and I haven't had this one in the slide, CLS, or cumulative layout shift. So a layout shift is actually one of those most annoying things in life, where you're reading a blog article, for instance, Formula One or Bridgerton, and you are reading it and suddenly an ad shows up and it shifts around, and that's annoying. But a top banner, for instance, might as well be a CLS, and it's just annoying. Which is why bad sucks. We have info, a lot of research, that every 1 second delay costs you about 7% in conversion due to frustration of users. So, SAC sells. But what do we need to measure that? And might it actually be that we would not need lighthouse scores? Well, let's find out. Because web performance in 2025 is terribly confusing, which we'll be talking about today. So I think many of us had this conversation. Hi, my website is slow, please fix. And you're like, yeah, hey, 99% lighthouse score. Awesome. And they're like, yeah, okay, but what about mobile? And that's 73%, which is still somewhat good, but a different measurement. Okay, but what about Core Web Vitals? And it's failed. What is happening? Why are these things different? Make it make sense. Because there are so many versions of web performance that you can measure. How the hell do you know what to look at? Well, let me go over these really quickly. At its base, we have two types of measurements. We have lab data and we have field data. Lab data is data that is, well, quite literally coming from a lab. So it's simulated data that tries to come as quick, well, as much to a real user as they can, but they're not perfect at all. So Lighthouse is lab data. Core Web Vitals are field data. PageSpeed Insight is one of those confusing things that shows both. Google Search Console shows you field data because they're based on Core Web Vitals. G2 Metrics shows you lab data. Web Page Test shows you lab data, and RUM shows you field data from all your users. And to answer the question that we asked earlier, why is your PageSpeed lying to you and what to measure instead? Well, actually, Google, who also gave us basically all these Spider-Mans, gave us quick insights into, well, literally when not to use Lighthouse. So always concentrate on field Core Web Vitals over Lighthouse metrics, and in particular, the performance score of Lighthouse is a broad measure of lab test and often does not correlate with field Core Web Vitals. So we can basically end it here, but we can't because everyone's still looking at the Lighthouse scores. Why? Because it's so damn sexy. It's a perfect score in a perfect environment and everyone's looking at it. I mean, we've been led to believe it's the ultimate performance goal. We saw it this morning with Adobe. And, you know, I think Adobe knows better, but as everyone's still thinking it's the ultimate sexy score, we get things like this. And I would like today to be the day that we stop showing this off and go to Core Web Vitals instead. Because me, well, it don't impress me much. And actually, because, well, it looks good, it literally cannot touch. Because here's the worst reason why we should not be looking at Lighthouse. It's an incomplete and not unreliable measurement to begin with. We're sorry for that. So why shouldn't we look at it? Well, it's a bot, for instance. And it's a bot that either is run on a very fast device, namely your own, or the slowest one in the whole wide world, which you'll see if you run it on PageSpeed Insights. That's a Motorola 4G that basically got invented in the Stone Age. And Shania Twain already said that. It's unable to interact, which is why it can't measure interactivity at all. And it stops once a page is loaded. So, you know, those nice scrolls, sliders, everything that happens after that first page is loaded, you might just want insights on that. And therefore, it can't measure all our Core Web Vitals properly. LCP, CLS, time to first byte, everything is just measured incompletely. IMP isn't measured at all. It also has no idea what third parties are messing with you. It tends to flag Facebook. Facebook is no issue at all. We see in real user monitoring data. But mainly, it's just not real. And also, lastly, it is always a first page load. It's always a cold page load. And thank God, in 2025, we have caching techniques. So it would be nice if a score would showcase that. Here's actually the bigger reason why I'm really quite fed up with Lighthouse. Because when a measurement becomes a target, it stops being a good measurement. What happens then? This happens then. It's being optimized for, or even faked. This Simpson meme is actually happening, and it happens quite often. Because, yeah, we already established it. It can't interact. So if you hide all interaction and all JavaScript, that would result you in a very good Lighthouse score. But it's also why there are two issues here. And actually the being faked part, well, who are you kidding, really? Your visitors actually won't look at the lighthouse score, so you're just lying to yourself and you're lying to whoever you're trying to convince this is important. But the other issue is by making it a goal, we as developers have to spend so much time optimizing for it. So much time that our users actually won't notice as we're just trying to game a score. We should focus our time on things that hurt our users instead. Which wise, thank God, we have a better solution available than Google. So, to have that PageSpeed insights again, Lighthouse data, lab data, core web vitals, field data, which means it's actually real user data that your users experience, which is much better. And we had a great talk about this last year. So, but then I got the answers. Okay, but if I pass core web vitals, am I done? And well, that depends. For SEO, yes, that's good news possibly for many of the marketeers here. If your page, every page passes core web vitals, then at least for that ranking signal, you're good. Although, try telling marketers that lighthouse score isn't important. They might actually have this talk and forward it to them. But for real users and conversions, no. No, because RUM will show you much better what users' templates actually could still use improvements and show you more pain points. Like, for instance, your checkout, one of your most important pages, is not measured in core web vitals. Safari is not measured in core web vitals. But those are important things to have insights and data on. Which is where a RUM that I co-founded comes in. It can help you uncover more details about pages, interactions, and it helps you avoid guesswork and wasted effort like optimizing that lighthouse score. I can't say that enough. Which is why, very awesome for me, Google recommends us. And actually recommends you all to look at RUM data if you have it available to you. Okay, but why? Why can't we rely on core web vitals? That's based on field data. That would be good, right? Well, there are multiple issues. And one of the biggest ones is it's actually based on the 75th percentile, which means if you have 100 visitors, then 47 will have a better experience. The 70th, okay, I always screw this up. 75th is actually the one you see reported. And everything that comes after, you have no idea. 0. And that is bad, because even if you have those core web vitals passed, what happens in those 25%? You want insights on them. You want them to have a quick experience as well, because a reality check, despite what you might think, everyone has a different experience. Right here, right now, we're suffering from terrible internet. So, and our hotel also really bad. So that puts us all in the 95th percentile. So we won't get reported in core web vitals, but we are having a really bad time here. But there are plenty of people who have an amazing time with caching, with everything. So what you want is, well, preferably to have at least until the 90th percentile have people have a good experience, because, well, every second counts. We already learned that, and the slower an experience is, the worse the conversions will be. Why are things different? Well, this is actually our SACS dashboard. I mean, if you have buns, you might as well go all in on them. And what we see here is that data reflected. No user has the same experience. Ad traffic, for instance, will make you often have a cache miss in your with Cloudflare or Fastly or whatever. That is really bad. And there's zero need for that, but you just need insights on it. You'll see that a successive page view tends to have a much better experience than a returning or much worse experience, than unique returning, which makes sense. But it's not actually always the case. What we very often see is that unique and successive are having an equal experience. That means your caching is failing somewhere. LCP9 navigation type, where did they go? Did they benefit from back-forward cache and have those varnish rules set up properly, like we discussed with Hypernode, or do they not? Are you using pre-rendering? What is happening? But also, very important, IMP by device memory. If you have an expensive phone, you'll have a much better experience than if you have a low-end phone. If you have no idea what your general audience experiences here, then that is something of a business priority to improve. And what we very often see is that they have a mid-range phone, so that would be a good goal. Other downside to Core Web Vitals is an aggregated data set over the last 28 days. Well, that's no use to you because your business runs in real time. Which is why this happens. And you don't want this to happen. You don't want to look at a delay in Core Web Vitals and suddenly find out that your marketeers went crazy. And they added a new heat map, and suddenly the interaction got much worse in your EMP. And there was a CLS that you maybe are running a sale on. And also there was an LCP because you had an A/B test that was causing much white screens. This is where you want real user monitoring data. Because what is then, in my professional opinion, the best web performance setup? It's this. You want to fix what hurts. So you prioritize what hurts. Find your biggest problem based on your real users and fix those. Reproduce them, because we are still developers and we do want to reproduce issues with either DevTools or web page test. Fix it in your code. And actually, this is where I think Lighthouse has value. Run it in your CI/CD, because it can flag issues, especially if you compare them. It's just not giving you complete insights. But for the diagnostics, it might be good. Validate your fix once it's in production with RUMvision. And in every deploy, just make sure there are no regressions in your real user's experience. And also, sleep very easily, knowing you'll get an alert within 24 hours, instead of waiting 28 days, or even worse yet, never having insights on it at all. Because you do not have to fix everything. You just need to fix what hurts. Stop chasing things that aren't impacting you. Just fix the most important things. And if you want to do lab data, use the new panel in DevTools in Chrome. It's so much more powerful and insightful than Lighthouse. Okay, but this gets us to a final issue that I actually had someone ask me earlier today even. Okay, but if I can't use Lighthouse to show off my amazingly lightning fast website, what do I do? And that's fair enough, because you don't want to wait 28 days. I get that. Well, use RUMvision, because this is the ultimate flex in my book. This is really sexy. What are we looking at? Look, our RUM still has a single score. We know you like that. But it's based on template level, which is nice because you want insights on that. And not just that, I actually put it on the 90th percentile. So that means that only 10 people out of the 100 are having a worse experience than this. And also, it's available in 24 hours. Just do a compare. Awesome. If you want to learn how they did that, please use that QR code, because it's a really good use case. And if you guys do want to wait 28 days, at least I'll ask you, please don't use Lighthouse. Use a UX score that is based on Core Web Vitals instead. This is fun. You can compare it with your competitors. So, because our goal is, and this should probably be your goal as well, provide website owners with all the insights they need to eliminate PageSpeed as a conversion killer for preferably 99% of all visitors. And also, please stop focusing on vanity metrics and let's run away together instead. So, any slides, any more info, just scan the QR code where you'll find all of this info. And thank you very much.